Hi, everybody. We're back with another episode of Howie's Hometown Heroes, where we showcase business owners, entrepreneurs, and community members who are doing extraordinary things in their community. Today, we're in Bordentown, New Jersey, with my good friend Dennis Morolda, who runs an organization, a movement called Building Men. He's going to tell you a little bit more about that. I could never do it justice by just describing it, but it's a really interesting thing. I think it's really needed in schools and in our community. So some things, a little bit about Dennis. He'll tell you his story too, where he's a really good relationship with his teenage kids, which sometimes doesn't necessarily work out when divorces happen, if you know what I mean. But he's really proud of that. And he'll also talk a little bit about change and how some people are stuck in their careers or mindset. But if you can come out of that and have the courage to change and do something different, it can make a whole new world for you and all the people around you. So Dennis, thanks for being here today.
Howie, what is up, my man? Good to see you.
Yeah. So this is really going to be really cool. So tell me a little bit about how Building Men kind of came about.
Sure thing. Well, first, I wanted to congratulate you on stepping into this spot and doing Howie's Hometown Heroes. I think it's awesome in what you're doing and providing a space for people to tell their story. So thank you for having me on. I truly appreciate it.
Well, it's great.
And giving me an opportunity to share my story. So Building Men started back in 2005. I graduated with a degree in elementary education and a dual certification in sociology. And part of my degree program was I needed to do an internship at a place for at-risk youth. So I worked for several months as a group and individual counselor at a place called Together Incorporated in South Jersey, and worked with kids that were referred there because of the court system or because of the Department of Children and Families. So kids that had significant traumas in their lives. And so I worked with these kids. And so I was always fascinated with that dynamic of the individual work and then the group dynamic with a social group in my background in sociology. And I played baseball in college, graduated, started teaching sixth grade and also coaching varsity baseball in Central New Jersey, and loved the leadership aspect of what I was doing. So I went back to school, quickly got my master's degree in educational leadership, and started as an assistant principal in my hometown where I live currently in Bordentown, New Jersey. And as soon as I started, Howie right away recognized all the issues that I was dealing with were with the boys. So it was 7th and 8th grade boys in a junior high school, and 90% of the things that were going on were with the boys. They were coming to school late. They weren't coming. They were getting tossed out of class for disrespect, for fighting, you name it. The boys were getting classified into special services at an alarming rate when you compared it with the females in the school.
I was just going to say,
and
but
I recognized
not the girls.
It was like 10 times the amount were with the boys.
Okay.
And we had our suspension rate was through the roof. We had, you name it, it was the issues with the boys. So I decided I need to do something about this. I needed to do something to help these young men connect and become better. And so what I did was I started a boys social group in 2005. It was October of 2005. And I called it Building Men. And how it amazed me right away. Almost every boy in the school joined this social group. And I held the group before school for an hour before school once every 2 weeks, and all 175 boys joined the group.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, wow, I'm something here. But what it was, how it was, there was a girls group. And so all the girls were in the girls group. And so the boys were like, oh, we're going to join this boys group so we can bitch about the girls. But I was like, listen, come join, let's figure this out. And so we met in a circle. We would shake hands at the start of every single meeting. So I would wind up doing over 2 weeks. I would do 5 or 6 groups per week of 25 boys.
Okay, got it.
And it was by grade level as well. So the 7th graders had a group of 4 or 5 groups, and the 8th graders the same thing. So we would start every meeting with a handshake, look each other in the eyes. We would, what was said there stayed there in that circle. And initially what the boys thought was we were going to talk about boobs, smoke cigars. It was like an old man's club or something. That's
what
right.
I would have thought in 7th grade.
Exactly, right? So, but what we recognized is first I wanted to understand from them, Howie, what did they think it meant to be a man? What, in their opinion, what did masculinity mean? And a lot of it was what I thought growing up, throughout my journey. A lot of people listening probably would have thought the same thing at that point in their life when they were 13, 14, 15 years old. The first thing that they thought was the better athlete you were, the better man you were. Bigger, faster, stronger. The people that they were emulating on TV growing up, like you're thinking, like I'm growing up watching Michael Jordan and Joe Montana, and I'm a Yankee fan watching Don Mattingly. So you had to, the better athlete you were, the better man you were.
Yep.
The next thing that the young men thought was, it was more like sexual prowess. So the number of girls that you could sleep with, or the perceived attractiveness of those girls, meant that you were a better man. So the more girls you bang, you're a better man.
Yeah.
And the final thing was the like success economically. So the more zeros in your bank account, the more things that you can accumulate, the house on the hill, the car, the this, the that meant you were a better man. And what we slowly did, Howie, was we broke down a lot of those preconceived notions and I helped the boys understand, if you're going to base your masculinity, being a man, around anything, base it around something that no one can take away from you. Base it on something that comes from within you, your character, your integrity, your self-discipline, being accountable to other people. And then finally, like, what can you do to help another human being breathe easier? Because you were here on this planet, you can leave a legacy to help other people. So we really redefined what it meant to be a man. And it was one of those things where I said it's a movement. It took on a life of its own. So after 1 year, our suspension rate in the school dropped 400%.
Oh my God.
It was remarkable. And I was like, I need to do something with this big picture. I need to take this and move on with it in some capacity. And we could get more to the journey, but I was a middle school principal until 2019, when my career took a little bit of a shift. But I ran that Building Men program, and I probably had 1,500 kids over the course of that many years that were a part of this program.
That's great.
But I'm still in communication with a lot of them today.
I was just going to ask, how do they do it now? You know, they're all grown, out of college and stuff, man.
So I just got a text message with a kid named Jack, who was in Building Men program in 2012. He works he's in the Navy, and he works with nuclear weapons on a submarine.
Holy
and
cow.
He was telling me about this journey that he had, and we reconnected, and he said, listen, I had a horrible relationship with my father in middle school, and your mentorship during that time made all the difference in the world to me, and gave me some confidence to pursue something I was interested in. So I still am in communication with a lot of the young men that I met face to face.
Talk about leaving a legacy for you. Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly. Wow. Very cool. So that's gone on quite a few years. How has that, I mean, you're not in schools anymore, right? I mean, not the principal anymore. So how is that movement then transitioned to now with Building Men now?
Absolutely. So I worked in education until 2019. I was always fascinated with social dynamics, group dynamics, social emotional learning, helping. Like, I was big into the character education piece of education as well. And I worked in a school district where basically I was told, you need to stop with the boys groups, spend more time raising our test scores. It's more about the test scores. Sure. So I took a pause on education, and I left in 2019 to start to pursue a pathway of coaching, consulting school districts. I needed to take a pause from it. And I thought,
wait a minute. So wait a minute. So now you had this program going on for years and years and years. Suspension rate is like, right, goes way down. Lots of success. Kids like it. They're all doing stuff. And they told you to stop?
Yeah. So so what I did was I was in 3 different schools as a principal. Yeah. And my last 2 years, I joined a school district. At the time, Howie, in my mind, I wanted to become a superintendent. That was at the time was my goal. So I thought, all my experience was in middle school. I need to diversify. I need to go into an elementary school district to get some experience there. Now I could have kindergarten through 8th grade. I'll get my doctorate. I'll become a superintendent, make the big bucks down the road. And so when I entered the school district, I started doing these types of things, and it was shot down. So now they told me, you can't, you need to stop this. You need to look at our lesson plans, our curriculum, make sure that our test scores are raising.
Even with the successes that you had, that is crazy.
Because it was really hard to quantify how the boys being a part of that group would help them become better people one day, because it wasn't something that was measured on a standardized test. So I left education in 2019 and started working consulting, coaching. It was awesome, like doing that for a period of time. But what happened was COVID shut down schools. And now, being in that entrepreneurial world, I left my salary was about $150,000 my last year, full benefits, a pension. I pretty much had to coast out for 12 more years, and I could have retired and gotten a pension. And I went from that to making $0 during, like, it shut down for months on end.
Sure.
And so it's funny, the timing of this, July 1st of 2020, I basically had this moment. It was in the June timeframe, but July 1st was a really important date for me. I had a come to Jesus moment, thinking like, what is it about for me? Like I'm broke pretty much, left education. I can't get back in because one, schools are not hiring because of COVID. There was no workshops, anything like that. I was in the middle of a divorce. And so my life was crumbling down around me.
Yeah.
And I had a moment like, what is it about? What, like, if I'm going to leave my mark or if I'm going to go in any direction, what is it about? And I said, I need to do something with Building Men. I need to do something with it. So for me, that something was, I'm going to start a podcast. I'm going to learn how to do a podcast. I'm going to start a podcast and let the chips fall where they may. And so I did. I taught myself how to do it. The first episode came out July 1st of 2020. I called it The Decision. And it was me, putting this out there. It was like a 10-minute episode, me putting it out there like, okay, I made a decision here to change this. And it's scary for me to do this.
For sure, yeah.
And I did it. And so now it's two-year anniversary, 149 episodes later.
Whoa.
And it's grown significantly to where in the beginning I had 8 downloads and it was like me and my mom 7 times downloading an episode, to now I have a reach where it's, in 75 different countries and I'll get a couple thousand downloads a week. And it's been really cool journey. But it comes back to, I left something that wasn't serving me in my future anymore. Took a risk, and it was really, really scary and challenging, but ultimately it paid off.
When you do, I guess it's that passion thing, when you pursue something that you're really interested in and passionate about.
Yes.
The universe opens up for you.
Absolutely.
That's for sure. Tim, that's a cool success story. The guy in the Navy. Do you have any other kind of stories that you can share with us?
A lot of them aren't as, glamorous as that, but kids that I mentored, a lot of them, like, they were part of the Building Men group, but I was the guy that was like, listen, come eat lunch with me. Like, I was very present. I was like, I was always in the cafeteria, always in the classrooms. Like, I wanted to be out and about. If I was in my office, it was a bad day. So there were kids that, I have carry a note in my wallet still, of a kid who actually still lives in the town where I live, and he was contemplating suicide. His parents had gone through a divorce. His father was an alcoholic. He was watching his father deteriorate.
Jeez.
And he was a kid that I would have lunch with once a week. And he talked about, he had written a suicide note. And one of the things that stopped him, I'll get choked up, but we had a standing lunch every Wednesday. And I'm a big Giants fan. He's a big Eagles fan. And it was the Giants-Eagles game that was coming up that following week. And we had a bet on the game. And so one of the reasons why he tells me this now was we had a bet and he needed to at least see it through until after the Giants-Eagles game. But we, our relationship has gotten so strong, and now we communicate probably once or twice a month just to touch base.
Nice. And
he went through some significant issues throughout his life, but now he's going back to school and he's going to become a teacher. And what he wants to do is establish a Building Men program wherever he gets a job as a teacher in the future. So it's a little bit of a different success story, but nonetheless, it's to me is an important, impactful moment.
I think that's what it's all about. When however many decades from now, when you're all gone, when we're gone, right? What do you leave behind? And for people to know that you are here and make a difference, in other people's futures, and go from there. I think that's a great way to live, and then to look toward that. That's a great thing. So where do you see Building Men going in the next couple of years? Millions of downloads or millions of kids, or what do you think?
Yeah, I appreciate that. And it's interesting. I just had a conversation with a guy in a coaching capacity, and we were talking about what does success look like to you? Like what would be a thing that you would do to talk about success? Exactly. And so I started to think about that. And during the discussion, to quantify, okay, for me, successful is running multiple retreats for young men every year, and then father-sons retreats where you would go through this connection between fathers and sons and rites of passage. For the podcast to be sponsored by multiple groups, and to be able to talk to the Jordan Petersons, the Joe Rogans, the Jay Shettys, the Brendan Burchards, the Tony Robbins, like these guys, people that I want to eventually have conversations with. So initially that's what I would have said. But then I was like, for me, success is becoming the person that will achieve those things. So it's what can I do to be the personality that people want to listen to, that I'm asking such great questions that people want to be involved with what I'm doing, to be the person that can inspire young men to be the best versions of themselves. So for me, success is becoming that figure that people can look to for guidance, for inspiration, for advice, to become knowledgeable and an expert in the field. And then the successes are going to take care of themselves. Like once you become that and you truly believe in yourself, you can achieve so much more by being the person that does those things.
Well, I mean, to me, just listening to you sounds like you're pretty close to there already. And everybody
Thank you, Ali.
is so modest about their own successes and stuff. But listening to you now, boy, I'm pretty impressed, I'll tell you. So that's very cool. Very cool.
Thank you.
Very good. So everybody out there, if you know someone who we should feature on Howie's Hometown Heroes, whether a community member, have a great organization like Dennis, or just a good entrepreneur, put their name in the comments below or let me know and we'll be happy to get them on the show. So whether it's your business, your family, your organization, remember, it's money that makes the wheels turn. Make sure your money is working for you in the most optimal way it can. Thanks for being here, Dennis. We'll see you next time.
Appreciate it, Howie. Good to talk to you.
Thanks.